The world is watching as two superpowers engage in an economic war that could reshape the global order for generations. On one side, the U.S., wielding tariffs like a sledgehammer, is determined to cripple China's industrial machine. On the other, Beijing, armed with financial leverage and a deep understanding of economic warfare, is ready to counter every American move with devastating precision. Both nations claim to be acting in their best interests, yet the reality is that ordinary people, workers, consumers, and small businesses will bear the brunt of their leaders' brinkmanship. The hypocrisy of both governments is glaring. The U.S., which has spent decades outsourcing manufacturing in the name of corporate greed, suddenly plays the victim, lamenting the loss of its steel industry while doing little to address the structural economic issues at home. Meanwhile, China, which has built its economic empire on intellectual property theft and aggressive state subsidies, cries foul at U.S. protectionism, pretending to be the innocent party in a game it has long mastered. Both nations are engaged in a high-stakes gamble, with global stability hanging in the balance. As tariffs take hold and retaliatory measures escalate, the world is left wondering, how far will this economic war go? Will it remain a calculated exchange of blows? Or are we on the brink of something far more destructive? One thing is certain, neither side is backing down, and the consequences could be catastrophic. Stay with us till the end. Hello and welcome back to Innovative Check YouTube channel, where we delve into the innovative and transformative projects changing our world. If you're new to the channel and enjoy learning about innovation stories around the world, you've come to the right place. Please subscribe, like, and comment to help boost our videos on YouTube. The error into effect immediately. Across the Pacific, Chinese officials scrambled to devise a response. The Chinese Ministry of Commerce issued a stern statement, calling the tariffs reckless economic aggression. Beijing had already anticipated some form of retaliation, but the scope and immediacy of these tariffs caught even seasoned policymakers off guard. President Xi Jinping was briefed on the situation within the hour, his advisors urging caution while simultaneously preparing countermeasures. The Chinese government had been playing the long game in this economic chess match, but the U.S. had just upended the board with a decisive move. For decades, China had strategically positioned itself as the dominant force in steel production. The country had flooded global markets with cheap steel, undercutting competitors and forcing the closure of numerous mills across the U.S. and EU. Now, with Washington's aggressive stance, China's grip on the industry was being challenged in a way it hadn't been since the height of the Cold War. Financial analysts on Wall Street reacted immediately, watching stock prices fluctuate wildly as investors digested the implications. Shares of major U.S. steel companies surged, with companies like U.S. Steel Corporation and Nucor seeing double-digit gains in a matter of hours. Meanwhile, Chinese steel giants faced a brutal day on the Shanghai Stock Exchange. With Bayer Steel and An Steel plummeting, inside the halls of the White House, economic advisors were divided. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen cautioned against escalating tensions further, warning that China's retaliation could send inflation soaring and disrupt the already fragile global supply chain. But Trump was unmoved. He had built his political brand on tough talk and decisive action, and he wasn't about to back down now. The tariffs were just the beginning. The administration signaled that further measures would be announced within the week, potentially expanding to other key industries where Chinese dominance had long been unchallenged. Reports surfaced that restrictions on Chinese technology imports were being considered, particularly in sectors such as semiconductor manufacturing and artificial intelligence. Beijing wasted no time in responding. Within 48 hours, China imposed its own set of retaliatory tariffs, slapping a 15% tax on U.S. liquefied natural gas, LNG, and other energy exports, a 10% levy on crude oil, and new restrictions on American agricultural products. This tit-for-tat escalation was eerily reminiscent of the trade war that had erupted during Trump's first term, but this time the stakes were even higher. Just a quick reminder to hit the like button below. YouTube has been restricting my videos a lot recently because of bots, so your like does help out this video massively in terms of the algorithm in YouTube. In the tech world, the impact was felt immediately. Companies reliant on rare earth metals, key components in everything from smartphones to fighter jets, found themselves caught in the crossfire. China controlled the vast majority of the world's rare earth supply, and any restriction on exports to the U.S. could have catastrophic consequences for industries ranging from defense to consumer electronics. The semiconductor sector was particularly vulnerable, with TSMC and ASML already under scrutiny. The trade war threatened to disrupt the delicate balance of power in the chip manufacturing world. American companies like Intel and Nvidia, reliant on Chinese supply chains, scrambled to assess the fallout. Meanwhile, Beijing hinted at potential restrictions on rare metal exports, a move that would deal a devastating blow to U.S. manufacturers. In the political arena, reactions were swift and polarized. Republicans hailed the move as a necessary step in defending American industry from unfair Chinese competition. Senator Josh Hawley called it a long overdue reckoning, while former National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow praised Trump for standing up to Beijing's economic tyranny. Democrats, however, sounded the alarm. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer warned that such aggressive measures could backfire, potentially deepening the economic divide between the two superpowers and leading to unforeseen consequences. Economists from both sides of the aisle debated the long-term implications, with some arguing that the tariffs would bring much-needed relief to U.S. steelworkers, while others feared that American consumers would ultimately bear the brunt of rising costs. Internationally, the fallout was immediate. The EU, already wary of escalating tensions between the world's two largest economies, expressed deep concern over the U.S. measures. European steel producers, already struggling under pressure from Chinese exports, now faced the prospect of further disruptions. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz called for urgent diplomatic negotiations, warning that a prolonged trade war would be detrimental to global stability. In Canada and Mexico, the mood was mixed. While both countries had secured exemptions from previous steel tariffs, uncertainty loomed over whether Trump's latest measures would extend to them. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau expressed cautious optimism, but emphasized that Canada would not hesitate to defend its economic interests if necessary. If you are enjoying this video so far, please don't forget to subscribe, share the video, and comment. Meanwhile, in Beijing, economic strategists were already devising countermeasures. Beyond tariffs, China's state-controlled media began floating the idea of reducing its reliance on U.S. financial markets, with some analysts suggesting that Beijing could begin offloading portions of its vast holdings of U.S. Treasury bonds. Such a move could send shockwaves through global markets, potentially driving up interest rates and shaking investor confidence. The Chinese government also began exploring alternative trade alliances, strengthening ties with Russia, Brazil, and other emerging markets. The Belt and Road Initiative, long seen as China's strategic counterweight to Western economic influence, received renewed attention as Beijing sought to diversify its trade routes and reduce dependence on the U.S. market. The battle lines were drawn. The world watched as the U.S. and China, the two largest economies on the planet, engaged in an economic confrontation that could reshape global trade for decades to come. While Trump's tariffs were framed as a defense of American industry, the broader implications were far-reaching, touching every corner of the global economy. In the days that followed, supply chain disruptions became evident. Manufacturers that relied on Chinese steel and aluminum faced immediate cost increases, while American exporters braced for potential losses in the Chinese market. Ports in Los Angeles and Long Beach, major hubs for trans-Pacific trade, reported a slowdown in shipping activity as businesses hesitated to move forward with orders under the uncertainty of the tariff war. The political ramifications extended beyond economics. As tensions escalated, military analysts warned that the trade war could spill into the realm of national security. Some experts speculated that China could leverage its influence in the South China Sea or increase support for nations adversarial to U.S. interests as a form of economic retaliation. With no clear resolution in sight, the standoff between the U.S. and China had entered a new and dangerous phase. The question on everyone's mind was not whether the tariffs would succeed in crippling China's economy, but whether the world was prepared for the consequences of a prolonged economic war between two global superpowers. Thank you for your attention, and I welcome your thoughts and questions on this complex and vital subject. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to get exclusive videos about how phenomenally China is developing and growing its influence. Your subscriptions and likes motivate us to generate more content, so please keep supporting us. Check out this video showing on your screen right now, and I will see you on the other side.